Good Friday morning. I'm Jared Klein from the NBC29 Digital Desk with your morning rush. Let's take a look at the top stories being clicked on NBC29.com this morning. Coming in at number one, the father of the man killed in Charlottesville a few days ago by officers is speaking out against the police response. We'll get to that story in just a moment. At number two, that original story about the police shooting on Tuesday. And then coming in at number three, Bonumose opens sugar substitute manufacturing facility in Albemarle County. We'll also get to that story in just a moment. But first, this morning we are hearing from the father of Billy Seitz, that man shot by police in Charlottesville after a standoff. Cecil Seitz says his son should still be alive today. NBC29's Domingo Murray spoke with him.
To me, that was murder. They just murdered him because they felt like it.
Cecil Seitz is Billy Seitz's father. It was his son who was shot and killed by police officers Tuesday afternoon in Charlottesville. He says moving forward is difficult so soon while still mourning, and that's made worse by what he saw.
I was at the scene when it happened.
At the scene with no way of stopping what was about to happen.
I seen him standing there. Yes, he did have a gun, but he wasn't pointing at nobody. He was pointing down towards the ground, and he shot a couple times up in the air. But he never pointed the guns towards anybody.
This is the opposite of what Charlottesville Police Chief Michael Kochis said on Tuesday.
At some point during that encounter, the suspect turned towards the tactical response team and pointed his firearm at them. At that point, they fired at the suspect, striking him several times.
Mr. Seitz says the Albemarle police TAC team who fired the fatal shots should have done things differently.
Now, why couldn't they have shot him in the damn arm and make him drop it that way instead of killing him?
Cecil Seitz says his son did have a criminal record, but that does not justify what happened Tuesday, and that others in his son's circle bear some of the blame.
I even watched him take the pistol and put up to his own head, begging them to, let me come to him. And they wouldn't let me even up there near him at all, which I know if I could have walked up there to him, he wouldn't be dead. He'd be alive today. He might be in jail, but at least he'd be alive.
In Charlottesville, Domingo Murray, NBC29 News.
All right, well, Governor Glenn Youngkin made a stop in Albemarle County on a Thursday to check out a sugar substitute company at its new location. Bonumose is what it's called, and it has opened its manufacturing facility in Albemarle County. It will produce a plant-based sugar substitute that's called tagatose. Bonumose CEO Ed Rogers hopes to hire more Central Virginians in the next couple of years. Take a listen.
Probably more like 2/3 from local and a third outside. It was for a while there about half and half. So we've been successful at bringing people in, but also successful at hiring locally.
Now, the sugar substitute producer wants to expand, but keep its main location in Albemarle County. Well, last night, the University of Virginia welcomed Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders to grounds. Sanders was there to talk about his new book with reporter Robert Costa, and it's called "It's Okay to Be Angry About Capitalism." Costa asks Sanders if he is planning on running for re-election to the Senate in 2024, and Sanders' response is it's too soon to say.
Early March now, we just came through an election in November. And I think we spend too much time worrying about who's running rather than what the hell the people who are elected are actually doing.
And they had no issue filling the room for this event. Tickets from the UVA Center for Politics sold out in just 2 minutes, we're told, and students lined up for hours in advance to get a good seat. All right. Well, if you're a boss, it's time to show your workers a little extra recognition today. And if you're a worker, it's time to remember just how valuable you are. Why? Well, today is National Employee Appreciation Day. It's observed every year on the first Friday of March. The purpose is to honor and recognize workers across all industries. So if you're a boss, maybe buy some donuts on the way to the office this morning, maybe some coffee for your employees. Just throwing out a few ideas there. Well, expect a chilly, rainy Friday, a good day to curl up inside, maybe with a cup of coffee and a good book. we're expecting some icky weather to finish out the work week. Here's meteorologist Josh Fitzpatrick with more on what we can expect.
I'm meteorologist Josh Fitzpatrick with this weather briefing, and we have a lot to talk about. Let's get right to it. The National Weather Service continues a winter weather advisory for the central Blue Ridge Mountains and into the Shenandoah Valley for a little bit of sleet at the onset possible for the I-81, I-64 corridors, but it's mainly for elevations greater than 2,000 feet. We may have a little bit of ice accretion up to 1/10 of an inch, but I-64 at Afton Mountain will be wet. Also, Route 33 will be wet as well today, but the highest elevations may have more significant icing. Some of those tree branches may have up to 2/10 to 4/10 of an inch of ice, maybe a little bit more with some sleet and snow accumulation with up to 45-mile-per-hour winds. Our high-res weather tracker shows mainly it's a cold rain today with an evening risk for a shower down or a thunderstorm. Any storm could produce some damaging wind gusts, so a lot of variable weather. Keep checking back to NBC29 News for updates.
Thank you, Josh. Here's a look at that Michael and Son Heating 7-day forecast. Again, we're dealing with that rain today with a high of 46, but warming up for tomorrow, a high of 60 degrees and breezy. Sunday looks like our pick day for the weekend with a high of 65, mild and sunny. And then after that, it looks like we have a dry stretch, so we'll definitely be enjoying this weather as we enter into the second week of March, the first full week of March coming up next week. All right, I hope you have a great Friday. Stay inside, stay warm, and we'll see you again on NBC 29 News at noon.